Welcome to my new geometry nodes tutorial. Today I want to show you how you can make an emitter and create particles on them, and the particles are just influenced by the speed of the emitter, as you can see here in the demonstration. So without wasting your time, let's get right started. So I start with a brand new file, and I use this cube as my geometry nodes modifier. So I'm adding this here, press new and go to the geometry node tab. And I add torus as my emitter, and I call it emitter. Maybe I call this cube GN. I pin this here. And now I have to animate this a little bit. So RY90I for setting the keyframe, and then I move it a little bit in front here. G, I for keyframe, move a little bit here, and I keyframe. You see now I have a little bit movement here. That's enough. Let's do it. So what do we need? We need particles coming from this instance. How do we do that? First of all, we drag and drop the emitter here. That's the fastest way. We change this here to relative. Then we add a simulation zone just right in between here. We connect these up here and we make some new place. Now we want to instance point on our emitter. This is pretty straightforward. So we choose this geometry here and we say instance on points, and we instance in fact just a point on that instance, and we want to instance on faces. How do we do that? We just say mesh to points, and then because we want to instance on points on faces, they say instance on faces. And as you can see, when we now plug this in here, you see the points on the instance. Great, that's exactly what we want. What else do we need? We need a realize instance because we want to work with the points. So, and let's be good citizens, and we write here, create particles. It are in fact particles. So now we need to get the speed of the emitter, and we get the speed by subtracting from the position, the old position, to the current position, and then we get just a speed vector, which should be too hard to get. So we need a point. So we use this point here again, Shift D to duplicate, Alt P to unparent so that it's not in this frame here. And we add this to a new geometry here. Don't forget, if you add a point here and plug it in, it's just added one time, not multiple times. And then it keeps here repeating between the simulation. It will go out here and enter here again. So we just have one point here. We just use this one point to store the information. So we say here store named attribute, and of course we have just a point, so we use a vector point here, and we want to store the position of the emitter. So we can just get here the location and store it here, but because it doesn't look nice, so we double this here, and so we don't have a mess with the nodes. And now we have here the old position of the emitter. So we join here, of course, the new created points, and we don't enter here this. And what we need now, you see we already are emitting points, and now we have to move them, and therefore we need the old pos subtracted by the new pos. And so the emitter speed we store here, store named attribute, which is of course a vector again and a point. And now because this is the emit speed, we have to transfer now the speed from this geometry here to the geometry here. Because it's different, we need the sample index. And we sample the index from this geometry here. It's a vector. And it's the old pos. So we take the named attribute vector, and it's the old pos of that location. So we take these and we subtract the current minus the old speed, and then we transfer that result to our newly created. And now we store this here to the emitter speed. And what we have to do now, we have to, of course, set the position of our points here. And how do we do that? We just add the current position with the emitter speed. So what we just calculated. So emitter speed, and of course, then we just have use vector mass at these two positions, and then we should see something. Let's check this out, and you see, we got it. If the speed is too fast, you can use a vector mass scale function and just lower down the speed with a scale node, maybe 0.2 or something, and then you see you have the speed, but it's not too fast, so it looks a little bit more white. I hope you learned something. I hope you have fun. Have fun. Have a great day. Bye.